Beloved, January 20th, 2018, in dreams, I was in a flat, and this flat was surrounded by mountains, where there was a huge house with many rooms. I saw myself inside that house and began to see how there were people with chains around their necks and feet, and they were walking with great difficulty and with anguish on their faces that it showed on them. Others were also tied, but this with ropes, in the same way as the first, and others were like wrapped in weaving thread, also tied at the neck and feet. So, in that house with many rooms, I saw how many uniformed men walked through that huge house carrying boxes to a single place behind a door, where no one could enter that door. Many were crying, others were moaning, and others were screaming because they did not have access to that place where they were carrying the boxes. Then suddenly, I was in front of that door, and I asked someone who was carrying boxes what to do to have access to enter through that door. So he stayed looking at me, and very seriously he answered me, "Only knock, and you are going to be told what to do." Then I waited for him to come in, and I knocked on the door, and then a tall man dressed in a white cassock opened and looked at me. When I entered there, I saw a gigantic warehouse. It was as if I had entered many buildings of the size of Walmart put all together. In addition to the boxes, there were many tables, and on these tables opened boxes, and I saw that many were parading through them and were taking from different boxes that was there, and they were putting it in some bags that they were carrying. So I asked what had to be done to participate in this, and the character in the white cassock told me that I just had to accept this. And when he said like that, he gave me a piece of paper, and I read it. It was a single word that the paper had, and there was that word in English, and what it said was Sunday. So I threw the paper on the floor and said, "I will never, never be able to accept this." Then he, very calm, he lowered and picked it up and told me with a strong voice and with a frown, "Well, receive your fate, get away, and don't bother me." Then at that moment the door opened and a chained man entered. I saw then how this character accepted the piece of paper. They took off the chains and shackles. They gave him a bag and went through the boxes, taking among all of them. So at that moment I said, there, exclaiming, "Sir, I would like to see what is in those boxes," because they were at a great distance from me at that moment when I was there, because I couldn't move. They didn't want to let me pass. My companion appeared. Then he told me, "Let's go and observe." So we were able to go through that place, and I saw what was inside the boxes. Then we started and continued passing a door, and there was a mega warehouse of boxes of all sizes. There was a supply for many. The people who left there with their bags, they felt safe, but they couldn't be seen that they were happy. So we left that place, and my companion asked me, "What did you see?" Then I said, "I saw food, medicine, and cover." He told me, "You have seen well. Help them to prepare," was what he told me. So at that time, I was taken to many mountains, but in one it caught my attention because a cabin was shown to me. Then there were in this little cabin, I saw a pattern that I had seen before. It had been shown to me before. There was a small jug of water, a small table where there were green leaves of different kinds. There were also fruits and nuts on that table. I could also see some tubers there. I went to a corner of the cabin, and there I also saw a shelf where there were many pots that were made of crystal. I could see seeds like beans, chickpeas, lentils, things like that. And in another corner, I saw that there were blankets, coats, and some clothing. So we stopped in the middle of the cabin, and I looked out the door and saw that it was raining. And my companion asked me and said, "Are you getting wet?" And I said, "No, I'm not getting wet." Then he said to me, "Let's go." We left the cabin. The sun was already out. We went to a vegetable garden that surrounded the house. My eyes were open when I saw those plants. They were beautiful, and their fragrance spreaded throughout that place. There, heading that garden, I saw the mugwort. It is a medicinal plant. I could recognize it. I also saw the anise, mint, pennyroyal, arnica, sweetgrass, malangeta, incense, myrrh, and others that are all medicinal plants. He said to me, This is the true medicine." Then on one side of the house and on the other side I saw plantings of green leaves, flowers, and small fruits such as peppers, tomatoes, and in the distance fruit trees that were very good size. We could pick them up with our hands. That is, it was a size that we could pick up the fruits with our hands. The tree was not very big. It was a little piece of Eden, that place that was shown to me. It was very simple, but the dwelling gave peace, and peace reigned there in all places, and no one was impelled by fear. Everyone there was calm, everyone was happy. No one had fear of hunger that was already being seen in the middle of these mountains, which had a great plain that I had seen at the beginning. So, at that moment, I saw a small familiar group under the shade of the tree. It was a mango tree. It was a fairly large tree. There I saw how they opened the holy book, the Bible, and they read and enjoyed reading it. I saw another member arrived carrying the books of the Spirit of Prophecy, and how they accepted it with great happiness and ran to open its pages to read. I saw the title of that book. It is the first time that when I see the Spirit of Prophecy, I can see the title of the book. And it was the book, The Great Controversy. There, its first pages now displayed these times that we are living. And they were there reminding them that this was important to save their lives. So they read and felt joyful, and they accepted it into their hearts. At that moment, I heard them sing. They sang two hymns that I could recognize. One of them is, "I leave the world and I follow Christ," and the other, "I prefer my Christ." We left there at that moment, and my companion told me, "I'm going to tell you something that you should not forget. Go and instruct and help." Those 3 words, because time is short. So there I woke up. In this, beloved, I see the love of God in all this. And as Jerusalem repeats itself, although God left this main sign, His mercy did not stop warning the fate of that rebellious city. Even now, He does the same thing. God wants to free us from the trials that we cannot bear, so that only the ones that we can bear remain, because He said that He will not allow anything more than what we cannot bear. And with the trials, He will give the way out. So God grant that the understood can understand is my request and prayer. May the Lord bless you all.